series for math. Today's lessons will be for all of our 4th graders out there, though all children are welcome to tune in. This is the 5th lesson in our series. If you didn't see our previous lessons, you can find them at the Tennessee Department of Education website, www.tennessee.gov/education. You can still tune in to today's lesson if you haven't seen any of our others, but it might be more fun if you first go back and watch our other lessons since we'll be talking about things we've learned previously. My name is Miss Pereira, and I'm a 4th grade teacher at Venus Stewart Elementary in Gallatin, Tennessee. I'm so excited to be your teacher during this lesson. Welcome to my virtual classroom. Today we're going to continue practicing addition with multi-digit numbers using tape diagrams like we did yesterday. Before we get started, so that you can participate fully in our lesson, you will need pencil and paper. I'll give you just a few seconds to gather those materials. We're going to start with our warm-up like we have the past few days. So at the top of your sheet of paper, I would like for you to write this addition expression. 117 plus 200. By now, you should have picked up on the pattern that we're adding combining like units. We can read this addition expression in unit form. Read it with me. 100, 110, and 7 ones plus 2 hundredths. So I know that 100 and 2 hundredths gives me 3 hundredths. 110 and 0 tenths gives me 110. 7 ones and 0 ones gives me 7 ones. So I know my sum in unit form is 3 hundredths, 110, and 7 ones. What would that look like in standard form? Please write that number on your paper now. Great job! 317. 3 hundredths, 110, and 7 ones. All right, let's do another practice. Write this expression at the top of your page, please. 117 plus 400. Let's read this addition expression in unit form. 100, 110, and 7 ones plus 4 hundredths. Adding our like units, 100 and 4 hundredths gives me 5 hundredths. 110 plus 0 tenths gives me 110. And 7 ones plus 0 ones gives me 7 ones. So our sum in unit form is 5 hundredths, 110, and 7 ones. Please write what this number would look like in standard form on your paper. Wonderful. 517. You can see my 5 hundredths, 110, and 7 ones. Okay, let's do just a couple more. The next one that I would like for you to write at the top of your paper is 117 plus 420. Read this expression in unit form with me. Here we go. 100, 110, and 7 ones plus 4 hundredths, 2 tens, and 0 ones. I can see that I've got hundreds to add together and tens to add together. So 100 and 4 hundredths gives me how many hundredths? 5, correct. 110 and 2 tenths gives me how many tenths? 3, great job. And then 7 ones and 0 ones gives me how many ones? Right, 7. So in unit form, I can see my sum is 5 hundredths, 3 tenths, and 7 ones. Write that in standard form on your paper, please. Wonderful. 537. And let's do one more warm-up problem before we dive in with our tape diagrams today. So write this expression at the top of your paper, 117 plus 426. Let's start by reading this in unit form. 100, 110, and 7 ones plus 4 hundreds, 2 tens, and 6 ones. Great job. Okay, let's add our like units. I know 100 and 4 hundreds gives me how many hundreds? 5 hundreds, correct. 110 and 2 tens gives me a total of 3 tens. Excellent. And 7 ones plus 6 ones gives me a total of how many ones? 13 ones, correct. Now I know those of you at home, your brains are lighting up saying, we need to regroup, and you are absolutely right. This is great in unit form, but if we're going to write it in standard form, we've got to regroup these 13 ones. We know that we can decompose that 13 into a 10 and a 3, and we can bundle up 10 of those ones to give us another 10. So now when we're ready to write it in standard form, what would that look like? Write that on your paper now, please. Wonderful. We have 5 hundreds, 4 tens because of the ones that we regrouped over here, and 3 ones. So our total would be 543. Great job. Okay. We're going to look again at using tape diagrams to model and help us solve multi-digit addition problems. And we're going to start with looking at a word problem that has to do with a flower shop. So read this with me. The city flower shop sold 14,594 pink roses on Valentine's Day. They sold 7,857 more red roses than pink roses. How many pink and red roses did the city flower shop sell altogether on Valentine's Day? I'm going to ask you 2 questions. What do we know? What do we need to know? And in order to find those out, we have to go back and reread and dig in a little deeper to this word problem. So as we go back, let's think about the what do we know? What information did they give us? So we know we're dealing with a flower shop, and we know that they sold some roses. We know that they sold some pink roses, and we know that they sold some red roses. How many of each did they sell? Do we know how many pink roses that they sold? Yeah, we do. Good job. It tells us right here they sold 14,594 pink roses. Do we know how many red roses they sold? Not exactly, right? It tells us that they sold 7,857 more red roses than the pink roses. So we know that they sold more red roses than the pink roses, but we don't know exactly how many roses that is. And now, what are they wanting us to figure out? What are we supposed to do here? So I'm looking at my question. It wants to know how many pink and red roses did the city flower shop sell all together on Valentine's Day? So if I'm trying to figure out how many roses they sold all together, what are we going to have to do? What operation is going to help me figure that out? Correct, addition. We need to add. What do we need to add? Yeah, we need to add how many pink roses they sold plus how many red roses they sold together to figure out how many roses they sold all together. But we have a little bit of a problem. We don't know how many red roses they sold right off the bat. They didn't just tell us that. We have to figure that out. So this is a 2-step word problem. First, we have to figure out how many red roses they sold. Then we can figure out how many roses they sold all together. And we're going to use a tape diagram to help us model that and keep track of everything in our brains. So on your paper, let's write down what we know. So find a blank space and record this information with me. So I'm going to use a P for pink roses. And out beside the P, I'm going to write the number 14,594 because that's how many pink roses they sold on Valentine's Day. Then I'm going to use an R for my red roses. And I know that the amount of red roses they sold were the pink roses plus 7,857. Because it told us in our word problem, they sold 7,857 more red roses than pink roses. So I have to add 7,857 more roses to the amount of pink to figure out how many red. But really what it wanted us to figure out is how many total roses that there were. So I'm going to put a T for total roses. And I know in order to figure that out, I need to take the amount of pink roses and add it to the amount of red roses. So we've got some work to do. The first thing we need to do before we can figure out the total amount of roses is to figure out how many red roses. So let's draw a tape diagram to model that. So out here beside my pink, I'm going to draw a tape diagram. And I'm going to label it P for pink. And I'm going to put 14,594 because that's how many pink roses that they sold. Then I'm going to draw a second tape diagram to figure out how many red roses. So I know it was the amount of pink roses, so I'm just going to copy that 14,594, but they sold some more. So I have to add to that tape diagram. And that is going to tell me how many red roses they sold that day. And I'll give you just a second to get that written down on your paper. I don't know that I like that either. So now that I've got a nice visual model that's going to help me understand what I'm doing, what I'm adding together, I've got to go over to the side and actually add these numbers together to figure out, well, how many red roses did they sell? So 14,594 plus 7,857. Remembering that I'm adding by combining like units. So I have to make sure that my addition problem is lined up correctly. Ones with the ones, tens with the tens, hundreds with the hundreds, thousands with the thousands, 10,000s with the 10,000s. And now I'm ready to add combining my like units. So I'm going to start in the ones place. 4 ones plus 7 ones gives me how many ones? Correct, 11 ones. And yes, we're going to have to regroup. 11 ones, I can take 10 of those, bundle them up, and give myself a 10. So I keep 1 in the ones place, but I move 1 over to the tens place because I had enough to make a 10. Now I have 1 10 plus 9 tens plus 5 tens. So how many tens do I have altogether? Yeah, 15. And again, I'm going to have to regroup. 15 tens is equal to 105 tens. So 5 of my tens get to stay in the tens place, but 1 of those hundreds has to move over here to the hundreds place. So 100 plus 5 plus 8 is how many hundreds? Correct, 14 hundreds. Again, I'm going to have to regroup because 14 hundreds, I can't write a 2-digit number in a 1-digit spot. But I know that 14 hundreds is equal to 1,000 and 4 hundredths. So 4 of my hundreds get to stay in my hundreds place. And those other 10 hundredths, I bundled them up to make 1,000 that I'm going to move over here to the thousands place. So I have 1,000 plus 4,000 plus 7,000. How many thousands is that? Correct, 12 thousands. So again, I'm going to have to bundle 12 thousands. I can take 10 of those thousands, and that's enough to give me 1 10,000 and leave 2 thousands in my thousands place and carry the 1 10,000 over to the 10,000s place. So now I've got 1 10,000 plus 1 10,000, which gives me 2 10,000s. Great job. Now that we know how many red roses were sold, 22,451 red roses, we can now do the second part of our problem to figure out how many total roses. So I know that there were 22,451 red roses sold that day and 14,594 pink roses. So now I can add those up to figure out my T total roses. So I'm going to put my red roses on top and my pink roses on the bottom, making sure to line up my place value, my like units, and now I'm ready to add. Combining my like units, starting in the ones place. 1 1 plus 4 ones is how many ones? 5, very good. No regrouping to do there, great job. Moving to the tens, 5 tens plus 9 tens gives me how many tens? 14 tens. Yes, you're right, we're going to have to do some regrouping. So I get to keep 4 tens, but 10 of those tens bundle together to give me 100. So I have to move it over to the hundreds place. Now I have 100 plus 4 hundreds plus 5 hundreds is how many hundreds? Correct, 10 hundreds. Just enough to bundle to give me 1,000. And I don't have any hundreds left over. And I had enough to bundle up to give me a 1,000 that I moved over here to the thousands place. 1,000 plus 2,000 plus 4,000s gives me how many thousands? Awesome, 7. And then I move over to my last place, my 10,000s place. I have 2 10,000s plus 1 10,000, which gives me, 3 10,000s. For a total of how many roses that were sold on Valentine's Day? Correct, 37,045 roses. And we can write that as a statement. They sold a total of 37,045 roses. Check your work with mine. Great job. Now we're going to do one more practice together. This time we're going to bring in some football. Read this word problem with me. Tom Brady has 66,159 career passing yards. Peyton Manning, the all-time leading quarterback with the most career passing yards, has 5,781 more passing yards than Tom Brady does. How many passing yards does Peyton Manning have? 2 questions. What do we know? What do we need to know? So let's go back. Let's dig in a little bit deeper and figure out what information is given to us and what it is that we're trying to figure out. So now we're talking about football here. We're talking about passing yards. I know we've got Tom Brady and we've got Peyton Manning. It tells us exactly how many passing yards Tom Brady has. 6,159. It doesn't really tell us how many passing yards Peyton Manning has. It tells us that he has more than Tom Brady, It tells us that he has 5,781 more. So how many passing yards does Peyton Manning have? Well, that answers our second question. That's what we have to figure out. So on your paper, let's record what we know. And we will use TB for Tom Brady. And from our word problem, it told us that he had 66,159 passing yards. And I'm going to use a YD to label my unit, yards. And then we'll use PM to label Peyton Manning. And I know that he had more passing yards than Tom Brady. So I have to take however many yards Tom Brady had and add how many more did he have? He had 5,781 more yards. And we can draw a tape diagram to figure that out. So, let's do our tape diagram for Tom Brady. 66,159 yards. And then Peyton Manning, I know that he had exactly what Tom Brady had, the 66,159, but then he had some more. He had more than Tom Brady. And it told us in our word problem that he had 5,781 more. So now I can figure out how much passing yards Peyton Manning had altogether. So I've got my tape diagram here to model. I'm going to label this with a T. No, I'm not. I'm going to label it with a PM because that will be his total passing yards for Peyton Manning. So now we've got to go over here to the side and actually solve it. 66,159 plus 5,781. Again, my top add-in is a 5-digit number. My second add-in is a 4-digit number. I have to be really careful and make sure that I line my problem up correctly so that I'm able to combine like units. My ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s. If I'm not careful, it could cause me to make a mistake in my math. Now we're ready to start adding. So let's add our like units, starting with my ones. I have 9 ones and 1 1. So how many ones do we have altogether? Correct, 10 ones. Your brains are going off. Great job. We have to regroup. So when I have 10 ones, I have just enough to bundle those up to give me 1 10. So I don't have any ones left over. And I've got enough to make another full 10. So I'm going to move that over to the tens place. So I have 1 10 plus 5 tens plus 8 tens. So how many tens do we have altogether? 8 plus 1 is 9, plus 5 more is 14 tens. Very good. Again, we are going to have to regroup. 14 tens, I can decompose that. 10 of those tens make 100. So I can leave 4 tens in the tens place, and then I'm adding another 100 to the hundreds place. 100 plus 100 plus 700s is how many hundreds? Correct, 900s. Now we're ready to look at the thousands place. 6,000s plus 5,000s is how many thousands? 11,000s, and we are going to have to regroup that. Very good. 11,000s, I can keep 1,000 in the thousands place, and then 10 of those thousands are going to bundle together to make another 10,000. So I'm going to move that over to the 10,000s place. So 1 10,000 plus 6 10,000 is how many 10,000s? Very good. 7 10,000s. So we can see that Peyton Manning's passing yards are equal to 71,940 yards. Great job. You all have worked really hard again today to explore multi-digit addition with tape diagrams. You did some amazing work. Now, after the video, you're going to have some problems to practice on your own. Work hard, good luck, and do your best. I've really enjoyed doing math with you these days. Thank you for inviting me into your house. I look forward to seeing you in our next lesson in the Tennessee At-Home Learning Series.
At Governor's Early Literacy Foundation, our mission is to strengthen early literacy in Tennessee as a thought leader, peer advisor, and catalyst. Through our book gifting program, we partner with Dolly Parton's Imagination Library to provide every child in Tennessee from birth to age 5 with a book each month at no cost, delivered right to their mailbox. Our Storybook Trail program is a partnership with state and local parks to create an enriching outdoor reading experience for families. Our Caregiver Engagement Program provides resources for parents and caregivers to help children develop early literacy skills through reading and learning together. Our book buses are mobile libraries that travel during the summer, bringing literacy-rich resources directly to children and families. And our kindergarten to 3rd grade summer reading program provides quality books to students during the summer months to prevent reading loss. Through these programs, we're building a foundation of literacy to support a child from cradle to career. And it's all possible thanks to support from a large team of volunteers, contributions from our statewide donors and partners, and the state of Tennessee's continued commitment to the success of future generations through early literacy initiatives. We invite you to be a part of our story too. Together, we can strengthen early literacy across our state and help our kids become lifelong learners.
You don't have to be a great reader to create a love of reading in your child. Just having books in the home can help. Let your baby hold them. Read with energy. Try using different voices for characters. Use the pictures to spark conversation. Engaging with books every day at an early age creates a love of learning and builds strong thinkers. Enroll your child at governorsfoundation.org to receive an Imagination Library book each month at no cost.